Everyone, we are group 7 and we're going to discuss about the thinking and reasoning. First, what is thinking? Thinking may be defined as behavior which is often implicit or inner in the sense of not being readily observable. Such inner activity is carried on by means of symbol. And the most common symbols are used with are those communications, which are the words and numbers, diagrams, and maps. And other symbols used in thought, like images or mental pictures of sights, sounds and odors, movements and ideas, that is, concepts and other verbal and mathematical formulations. We think not only with verbal and mathematical symbols, but in gestures of arms, hands, and head, and in wide variety of expressive movements, a shrug of shoulders, lifted eyebrows, and scowl, or even a smile. Reverie, daydreaming, imagination. All of these terms describe the thinking which is relatively aimless. Thinking in which there is a succession of flight ideas with no particular goal in mind. Reasoning is present in complex learning, in which is made of past experience and in which organization and logical arrangement of responses is demanded. Following steps, a goal is to be reached or a problem to be solved. Hypotheses or inferences are set up looking toward the solution of the problem. Certain responses are selected in a tryout or a solution attempted, and final validation and frequent shortcuts. Man possesses a tremendous advantage over the animal through his use of symbols in the process of reasoning. So let's proceed to reasoning in animals. Some psychologists believe that reasoning can be inferred when animals solve problems which demand the ability to see relations, combine past experiences in new ways, and generalizations from observations. The development of concepts. A concept may be a word or mathematical symbol which embraces the common property or basic similarities of a variety of objects or events. The process of forming concepts passes through the stages of generalization and differentiation. That is, it is essential process of learning. Well, animals can learn many complex tasks in such a way as to search a correct solution. It seems unlikely that they employ verbal symbols or set up a hypothesis in the way human beings do. Although reasoning does not always have to be carried on by means of symbols such as words, numbers, and maps, the solution of many problems, especially those in mathematics, is virtually impossible unless acceptance and rejection of alternatives can be expressed in symbols. Role of the brain in thinking and reasoning. So there are two main theories have been advanced to account for the part played by the brain in thinking and reasoning. The first is called the central theory. It holds that thinking takes place in the brain itself. And according to this view, a stimulus such as a question is received by the auditory receptors in the ear and nerve impulses are carried by the sensory nerves from the receptor of the brain. They are elaborated through the association areas of a spoken word or sentence. At yun yung tinatawag natin na common sense notation. And according to British philosopher and essayist from 1795 to 1881, who is Thomas Carlyle, he said that as the liver secretes bile, so the brain secretes thought. So that's how central theory works. Kung ano yung nare-receive ng natin ng auditory receptors, which is yun yung nasasabi niya sa receptor ng brain natin, which is yun yung nalalabas na thought. That's what you call this central theory. And the second theory is called peripheral or motor theory. It holds that the brain is only one part of the thinking process and that actually we think with the whole body. According to this view, the stimulus is received by the auditory receptor and the impulses goes to the brain over the sensory nerves. Here, however, instead of scurrying around in the cortex, motor impulses go by way of the association areas to the muscles of the body, where they initiate new stimuli, which in turn come back to the cerebral cortex, which from the brain to body and body to brain until the final response emerges. Next is laying the foundation, that is providing the facts. It is so obvious as to be almost trite that many opinions about religious, social, and political matters are well worthless because the speaker does not possess the necessary information and experience to justify a pronouncement. Lack of knowledge is a potent cause of bad thinking. And kapag hindi tayo nakalay yung foundation natin sa fact, their explanation may become vague and mystical. Knowledge and information normally increase with study and experience. So the next, thinking and reasoning correctly. Deductive thinking. That is reasoning from premises. In deductive thinking, the process is from a general proposition to a specific conclusion. The classical form of deductive thinking is expressed by the syllogism, of which the following is well-known. For example, all men are mortal. It is a major premise. Socrates is a man. It is a minor premise. Therefore, Socrates is mortal, and that is conclusion. The major premise in a syllogism may be a theory, a well-established principle, a common and apparently invariable experience. The minor premise is a specific observation. If the major premise is true, and if our minor premise, that is, the observation, properly belongs under it, the conclusion follows of necessity. If the major premise is not true, the conclusion may or may not be true is undeterminate. Example, the following. All stealing is a crime. John is a thief. Therefore, John is criminal. The middle term in deductive reasoning. In deductive reasoning, the truth of a conclusion often depends upon the adequacy of the middle term. A middle term serves as a stepping stone or bridge between two things being compared or evaluated. For example, suppose we know that John is as tall as Jim is as tall as Sam. However, an argument is fallacious if the middle term is faulty. For example, Mary has an IQ of 115, Sue has an IQ of 115, therefore Mary and Sue have the same intelligence. Our conclusion is a demonstration of a general principle that things equal to the same thing are equal to each other, the same thing being the middle term.
Hello everyone, my name is Micah Tabla, your next reporter. Um, our next topic is all about inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is a logical process in which multiple premises, all believed true or found true most of the time, are combined to obtain specific conclusions. So, inductive reasoning is often used in applications that involve predictions, forecastings, or behavior. Our best examples of um, about inductive reasoning is all men are mortal, Socrates is a man, so that Socrates is mortal. It is based on the observation that historically all humans die eventually. That is an inductive generalization. So, groupthink is possessed in a isolated groups. Yes, we're done about the group thinking in inductive reasoning. So, our next is we should know what are the characteristics that a good leader should possess. The first in line is the intelligent. Second, in general knowing, he or she must know the problem more deeply than his or her member. Lastly, a good leader should possess the self-controlled and stable emotionally. How to succeed a group discussion? So the first is the physical setting. So the chairman or the group leader should sit with the other members of the group, perhaps around the table. All chairs should be on the same physical level, and everyone should wear their favorite clothing so they feel more comfortable by themselves. Next is friendly informal atmosphere. If smoking is permitted and perhaps light refreshments served, the group is more likely to engage in free conversations and to offer suggestions. The next is the sharing of the leadership. Great participations by group members and increased confidence when the leader is of responsibility are evident when the leader is careful to delegate authority and to share with his or her leadership with the other members of the group discussions. Definite plan for discussion. The more definite the question and issue and the more clearly it is formulated, the greater the chance of reaching the decisions or the desired outcome of the group discussions. Flexibility of agenda. Unless the questions to be discussed is predetermined by some fixed policy or authority, topics on the agenda should be flexible and subject to change. This avoids rigidity and allows for the divergent interest of group members. Discussion should continue until they reach the approved or they reach their desired outcome for their group discussion. Free participation. This is the most satisfactory decisions are those in which everyone has had a chance to take a part or to take their opinions. So, the last and not least is the satisfactory final decisions. A tolerant and sensitive leader, on the contrary, is likely to lead the group to a satisfactory conclusions, which is truly the product of a group thinking.
Now I'm going to discuss about some common errors in reasoning. Number one is hunches. A hunch is a judgment for which there may be a little tangible evidence, but often great conviction. Hunches which imply belief in occult or supernatural cause-effect relationships are generally called superstitions. For example, a howling dog is a sign of death that is unlucky to walk under a ladder, break a mirror, light 3 cigarettes in the same match, and so on. Number two, is a wishful thinking and rationalization. It is common observation that we believe that we want to believe, whether it be in politics, science, or everyday life. The extent of such studied thinking has been investigated experimentally in a study designed to discover whether our belief in the truth of a proposition is related to of its desirability. For example, should all men have equal political rights? Does 2 plus 2 equal 4? Is Islander wrong? Do air vibrations constitute the stimulus for hearing? Or do only good die young? Number 3 is the ambiguous use of words. Emotionally toned words distort thinking as words are used to inclusive as to have no precise meaning. For examples, politicians use the word democracy to cover a variety of conditions ranging from almost complete regimentation to a high degree of individual freedom. Use of these phrases, slave labor law, red baiter or do-gooder, and the like make clear thinking extremely difficult. In psychology, such terms are as instinct, personality, or intelligence are often used. To lose is uncertain from the context. Number 4, policy of the single case. It is a prolific source of error. Inductive reasoning is the policy of the single case. It is the temptation to generalize quick from a single positive result, ignoring negative instances. For example, a tourist is cheated by a French merchant and concludes that all Frenchmen are mercenary. Number 2 example, the fact that father and son are drunkard is convincing evidence that drinking is inherited. Number 5, reasoning by analogy. It is another common error that may interfere with the inductive thinking is reasoning by analogy. For example, a shifty-eyed man must be tricky and clever. A quiet, serious-looking man is intelligent because still water runs deep. Hasty interferences of this sort, first impression based upon analogy, are frequent sources of error. Even when the analog is not false, the generalization may be an instance of fallacy of the single case. Age and creative thinking. Masterpieces in art, literature, and science are sometimes thought of constituting the product of long painstaking, though it is not strange, therefore, that the common sense view is that great works are produced by elderly people. However, it is not always nor usually the case. These are the philosopher who have invented some technology. In one is Thomas A. Edison, the inventor of the incandescent lamp and the phonograph. Edison took out the largest number of patents and inventions at the age 35, but he continued to patent inventions until age 80. Next is Leonardo da Vinci, painted the Last Supper at the age 43, and Einstein announced his complete theory of relativity at 37. Number 3, Victor Hugo wrote The Les Miserables at 60. Goethe wrote Faust when past 80. Bertrand Russell, a great mathematician and philosopher, is active at 80. While great intellects inevitably decline with the years, it appears that highly gifted man of 60 life or 70 is still far more competent than most ordinary men of 30.